And just like that, baby, we are officially live on the official Wado podcast, and I got a local legend in the building. My very first professional fighter, Mr. Steve Tomahawk Townsel. How you doing, brother?
What's going on, brother?
Appreciate you stopping by the show as always.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. That's what's up. Happy to be here, man.
Nah, man, we happy to have you. We live from the FWMB studios. You already know it's your boy Wado. I don't need to shade because we got a real one in the building. I'm very excited to have you, bro. I'm a huge fight fan, MMA fan, now BKFC fan, obviously because of you and all the great fighters they have over there. But let's just start it off. Steve, what is it that you do, and how did we get here?
So I am a bare knuckle boxer by profession. All right, you've got fighters and you've got guys who are MMA guys. You've got boxers. You've got jiu-jitsu practitioners. I'm a bare knuckle boxer, so that's what I do. Who I am, man. I'm a dad.
Yeah.
I'm a student of fucking life, and I'm a bare knuckle boxer.
He's a bare knuckle motherfucking boxer. Now, I try to do this show chronological, Steve. I really do. I'm going to go all over the place. But let's start early life. Can you introduce me to maybe teenage Steve? What was he like?
Teenage Steve was still in love with football. That was the sport. Man, I played sports my entire life, like since I can remember, 5, 6 years old. Always been on a baseball field, a football field, a basketball field.
Yep.
So teenage Steve was in high school, thought I was untouchable.
Yep.
Playing football, having fun, but I was a knucklehead, I was just like every other teenager out there. Got into trouble, ripped, ran, did this, did that. Probably should have went left when I went right.
Yep.
But, yeah, man, just football, that was pretty much life back then, to be honest.
And where are you from, Steve? We know who you represent every time on the fight night, but where are you from?
I am from a small place called Fort Pierce, Florida. Man, just saying where I'm from kind of lights me up. It's special to me.
That's right.
If you're from there, you know why, So every time, I get announced at my fights and, I'm in there and I'm already in my moment. I'm smiling. I'm enjoying everything. Yep. And when they tell the world where I'm from and they say Fort Pierce, man, it just like, poof, it does something to me. And I carry that, no matter where I go. So
and that's evident, man. And like I said, you are literally a huge local legend. Not only Fort Pierce, the whole Treasure Coast is proud of you, man. Port St. Lucie all the way to Fort Pierce. And now, growing up in Fort Pierce, compared to when you grew up, compared to now, is it the same? I know you love it, but is it the same? How has it changed, in your opinion, your hometown?
Everything changes. That's life. Like, nothing's going to be the same, My growing up was just an entirely different generation and different time frame. So now everything's so much bigger. It's moving a lot faster. I want to say it's going in the right directions. Growth is a good direction. So.
Yeah, I'd say so. Everyone's got the bad parts if you go looking for it. But I think, 10, 15 years ago, a lot of people would think certain places of Fort Pierce were bad. Definitely got a lot of upgrades to it now. You know what I mean? We're trying. We got nice lights down Avenue D. We're doing our thing, man. Out here.
Yeah, we're out here. We're out here, man. I don't even want to put no energy towards any of the negative, places or things. It's an amazing fucking city. You know what I'm saying? So with amazing things, there's always going to be some things that aren't so bright or aren't amazing. So, but.
Very true. Now I want to ask Steve, I'm a fourth-generation Floridian, big-time Florida boy, but this is the question I've always asked my fellow Floridians, especially someone from Fort Pierce like me. I want to ask, if someone came, let's say, I went to college in Connecticut, okay, so I was the Florida boy for a while. If someone from up north came down here and said, yo, Steve, I want to eat some of your food, what food are you going to recommend them to have some Florida food or some Fort Pierce food? What food are you recommending?
Man, I'm straight up, we're going to the ribs.
Yeah.
Straight barbecue, straight brisket, some good old soul food. I want some lima beans, some neck bones.
Yeah.
I like the southern food, man. So when you talk about Fort Pierce or down here, man, we're like, we're eating good.
Yeah, yeah.
We're eating good.
Always.
Don't forget the seafood though, man. Seafood's amazing. If you eating food out to sea, you're doing good for yourself.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Definitely true. Definitely true. And I want to ask you, how did you get into fighting? Obviously, we talked about football, getting physical, maybe in the streets, had a couple fights. Who knows? What got you into fighting, Steve?
So, man, like I said, I was a knucklehead when I was a kid. I was always into something, man, fighting here, doing this, doing that. But I didn't want to be a fighter. Like, that just wasn't what I wanted to do.
Right.
I didn't want to willfully get punched in the face.
Yeah.
It wasn't my vibe. It wasn't what I was thinking. I was still on football, still on what I was going to do at that aspect. And I played football long after, like till I was 35 years old, to be honest. I played with the semi-pro league locally, actually. But it was it. I was 35, super heavy, having a great time. Like, I love football. I wish, like I said, now I was as disciplined now as I was for something like that. It probably would have been great. But it was right after that I went to the first local MMA show I'd ever seen, and it was Rise of the Warrior in Fort Pierce, Florida. If you guys have not seen this show, it is a must-do. We're talking the biggest amateur show in Florida in general.
By far.
Yeah, man. So I went to the show, right? And I'm there with a couple of my friends, whatnot, and we're just hanging out like tough guy shit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Honestly, my mentality was still a little bit different then. I was still living a different lifestyle. So I was just watching, and I was looking at these dudes fighting. I'm like, man, I'd smash these guys, man. I could do this. I could probably go out here and try to learn some stuff, do something different. Like I said, I'd already put away football, so I was like, I want to compete at something.
Right.
So literally the very next week, I went to a gym. And it just so happens it's the same gym that some of these guys that I were talking about, like, oh, man, I had smashed these guys, And I went in these gyms, and I've never had any training whatsoever. I wrestled a little bit in high school, but I told you I'd fought a bunch in the streets. But I thought I was working with some shit, you know what I mean? Yeah, man. And I went in, and I got beat up, bro. Like, I literally...
Humbled.
I got humbled day one, but I allowed myself to be humbled. I knew when I walked inside these gyms that, man, the ego's got to stay at the door, and I did that shit. So, I got beat up day after day, week after week, and I showed up every day. I showed up every single day, and that's when I knew that I wanted to fight.
Right.
Because you can think you want to fight. You can get into a fight, you know what I mean? You might even win a couple fights and you feel like, oh, this is great. I want to be a fighter. Because you still haven't made it up in your mind yet.
Correct.
But it takes when you lose. It takes when it fucking sucks. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because it's not easy. Like, there's nothing. If this was easy, man, you know how many people would do it?
Come on.
I mean, how many people already try to do it and realize it? So... that's when you learn and hey, this is why I want to do this, because I can go through this shit every single day and not get close to what I'm looking for and still want to do it.
You want more.
That's when I actually realized that, man, I want to be a fighter, and I started my MMA career. I was killing things, ran into some losses, you know what I mean?
Right.
Built me better. We celebrate all those victories. We learn from those losses.
Right, it's a lesson.
And
shout out to Dan, man. Like you just said,
Straight
Rise of
up.
Warrior, man. That's a great event.
Man.
A great production. Every time it's a great venue. They do it right here in Fort Pierce at the Fenn Center. That's where I met and saw Steve originally fighting out there, man. How did you get into Rise of a Warrior as a fighter? What linked you with Dan? Talk about that.
So I was blessed enough to actually go to a gym where Dan was pretty much running the show at. A lot of the guys that are working their way up now through the Treasure Coast Cartel, which is Dan Donaldson, DDA affiliate.
Big time.
He was running the gym. So when I went to these gyms, like I said, some of these guys that were already fighting on the show were training in the gym. So I was like immediately started getting to work. Yeah. Being that he pretty much owns and operates that show, it was able for me to get in and fight on some of those shows. If I wanted to fight anywhere else, he had his hands in other places as well.
Right,
so he pretty much molded my entire career, to be completely honest with you.
Wow.
like, I don't think I've ever said it out loud, bro. Like, when you think about this, even bare knuckle right now, we were together. You know, we went and I was cornering Carlos Lopez, was one of my brothers, you know what I'm saying? And Dan was pretty much the reason I was there in the first place. So, wow. Yeah, like, honestly, man, like,
shout out to Dan.
Shout outs, man. Love you, dog. I love you, bro.
Dan the man. That's a legend. I'm trying to get him on the show. He's too shy. You know, he thinks he's boring and shit. Steve, I'm trying to get him, man. He's a legend. We're gonna talk
he is, straight up. Like I said, man, I never really said that out loud, man. So that's a real one. And fucking Rise of the Warriors, hands down, one of the best shows. I brought some of my guys that they're world champion fighters, legends. Man. I brought them down here to see these shows, and they're blown away with like how big it is and how well it's put together. So,
because I mean, most people might not know. A lot of people know UFC. If you're into it, you maybe know Bellator, PFL, BKFC. Right. But there's a lot of smaller organizations out there, amateur fights, and I've seen a few of them. But it's way different when you walk in there at the Rise of Warrior. Yeah. The whole city's packed. Yeah, like, not all amateur fights are like that. So shout out to Dan, the whole crew. You guys are killing it. Now, Steve, I want to ask you, what was your first legit sanctioned fight like? Whether it was a Rise of Warrior amateur one, and then I also want to know, what was your first professional fight like?
So I fought at a place called Stampedes for Sid Carlton, you know, and it was my first fight. I was super pumped. I think I'd only been training for maybe 3-4 months. I didn't want to waste no time. Right, I pushed for it. And I was fucking wrecked for like the week out. Like, my nerves were super shy. Like, I didn't have no issues. So I've never had a thought in my head or nervous about my fight. Like, that's never been something that I've ever dealt with. Like, I'm going to kill shit. Like, it's never not been my mentality. But the nerves of actually, man, fighting in front of your hometown, being in front of all those people and not doing it. I played football, man. I played football in front of thousands of people.
Right.
But you're out there with your team, you know. It's not so much you, right?
Yeah.
So my first one was super, and I worked extremely hard. And like a lot of first-time fighters and amateur, man, they're coming up and they're not getting super challenging fights on their first fights all the time, you know what I mean? So It's like one of those ones that kind of opens up the door. You're getting your feet wet. And I appreciated the entire process until I didn't get my feet wet as I wanted to get them. I didn't get what I wanted out of my first fight. So I was let down by that. But it just pushed me to want to work harder and fucking demand, get more out of it and get better opponents. And
what's the difference, or what are the similarities like? Because obviously, you know, I don't even know if you mentioned, you were a defender in football. You were coming to clap heads. You were coming to run through you, not run away from you.
Yeah, man.
What's the difference like between a game day football and a fight day as a fighter? What's the differences or similarities?
Game day, man. For football, man, I woke up, man, jumping through the roof, already on fucking 100 from the jump. Like, my breakfast, I'm wide open. I'm having a good old time, you know. Fight day, man, I wake up slow. I do everything nice and easy. I try to just maintain.
Is that on purpose?
It's all on purpose.
You're holding it back?
All holding it back, you know. And I'm finding to the point where it's easier to do it. Even like my walkouts, everything's so much, you know, it's normal. It's normal now. It's work,
right.
You know, and I enjoy it.
One thing I want to ask, obviously UFC guys, any kind of prize fighters, you guys are going to fight when it's prime time for people to come watch, usually at nighttime, 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock, midnight. What's it like for you, and how often do you have to start, how soon do you have to start training to fight at night? Because obviously normal training, maybe you guys are training in the morning throughout the day. Do you have to start training at night so you're used to fighting at that time?
So in the beginning of my career, I've trained at nighttime all the time because I still had a full-time job.
Right. Yep,
you know what I mean? I still had to take care of the kids and do life.
Yep.
As of now, I still train at night for some aspects of it, but it's normal early training. So we're going to say probably the last 2, maybe 3 weeks, all my training's done. Like I start pushing it. Like I'll do my sparring at night as well. You know what I mean? But it'll be the nighttime sessions, and I still have a daytime sessions because can't even remember a time where I didn't have 2 a days.
Right. You weren't going in.
Right. So yeah.
I've always thought about that, because if you're prepping, you go hard all day at 4:00 p.m. at 6, and now you're fighting at 10:30. How do you adjust to that? Or when you fly away, you're in a different time zone and stuff. Like how does that play into it as well?
It's all adjustment. You just got to know what you're dealing with. I mean, right? That's no matter what it is. It's your price of admission. You know what you're dealing with. You handle it accordingly. Whether you handle it to complete and utter perfection, like you can, because you know what you need to do, is on you. And if you don't, that's just it'll show.
I want to ask, what are the biggest differences, or what are the biggest advantages and disadvantages of switching from MMA with gloves to now bare knuckle fighting, in your opinion?
I think everybody's different, but for me personally, I started fighting combat sports a little bit later in life. Like I said, I was 35 years old, and I didn't have any real training, I hit a punching bag a few times. I had some wrestling in high school, but I didn't have that actual training. I relied on my explosiveness and my athleticism, which can get you so far in combat sports. It's a great thing. You can start to be successful as long as you can pick up things after that. So I was blessed with that. But now, so I don't have to do all the cross training.
Oh, I gotcha.
I don't have to do the cross training, so I'm not doing jiu-jitsu, wrestling, kickboxing, trying to get a little boxing in. When I made the change over, I completely went over to, I trained boxing,
Right.
Had a great coach with Byron Zamora Jr., completely took me from MMA, changed everything, my footwork, my head work, and just everything pretty much changed. But that was the best thing for me. That was the benefit, because now I'm not training all these other things, and all my focus can be on this. And you already have that athleticism, so it's already there. So now all you're doing is actually putting it to work.
And now, do you train bare knuckle as well? Obviously, we see even bare knuckle guys, they're using boxing gloves to get work in. But how often do you train bare knuckle, or do you have to save that for the fight?
You condition your knuckles, yes. You condition your wrist, your strength in your hands. But we're not fighting with no gloves on. Like that's not gonna happen. We might spar with bubble MMA gloves or something like that to make sure you're getting your timing and your distance down. But we're sparring with gloves. We're taking care of each other. Without our face and our hands, we're not going to make it to the fight.
Correct.
And then in the fight, it is what
it is. It is what it is in the fight. And I want to ask you, Tomahawk, man, because a lot of people fight different. You see karate stance, especially MMA, mixed martial arts. A lot of people don't even know what the hell that is. Some guys are, tap you. Some guys are all power, like a Michael Chandler. He's throwing 100% of everything. Gaethje. Connor might give a little bit of tap here. For you, when you're in the fight, bare knuckle, are you throwing 100% of everything? Are you holding back to preserve your hands? What's it like actually throwing punches?
I'm work in progress. So, I'm changing. Like, there's times when, I would throw the kitchen sink at you. You know what I mean? Definitely hunting for a first round finish, which I still hunt for those now. But now, even though I'm throwing them extremely aggressive and hard, they're a little bit more placed, so they're not quite as much ass behind them. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Which is the smarter. It's boxing now. You know what I mean? So it works for me, and I'm still learning. I'm still learning me right now. I'm 6 bare knuckle fights in. I get better each and every single time, so I'm still figuring out me. And by the time it's all said and done, Tomahawk is going to be a legacy in bare knuckle boxing. I'm here, I'm a vet. I'm not someone that just showed up and left, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, that's the plan. I'm not even rushing my process. I'm gonna figure it out each and every one, and those are the real learning grounds. We train, we do all these things repetitives, we condition our hands, we do everything there is, you know what I mean? You're out there putting the work, but the check is the fight, and the check is where you actually get to see what worked and what didn't, what it is that you're doing that made a difference.
Correct. And now, can you speak on wins and losses? I'm a huge MMA fan. I'm also a basketball player, football fan. So I get into with a lot of people on the differences between watching a fight, watching a basketball game. I can see LeBron get dunked on. lose a couple of regular season games is whatever. You see a fighter lose, a lot of guys are jumping off his bandwagon. He's terrible, acting like it's a Super Bowl. For you, even though almost it is, you know what I mean? But how do you take wins and losses as a fighter? Because for me, I feel like it's literally an entertainment match. You're here to entertain us, win, loss, or draw. Obviously, you got to do your thing. So regardless of what happens to the fighters, you did your job. We were entertained, and that's all respect given. But as a fighter, what's it like taking wins and losses?
Man, you don't know what it's like to win unless you've had some losses, to be honest, man. I mean, no one wants to lose. It's a feeling like no other, but it's a double-sided sword.
Right.
Like we don't learn from our losses, We celebrate our victories.
That's right.
We do learn from our losses.
That's right.
So I mean,
or I should ask, because no one wants a loss, but like, do you not let yourself get down to rock bottom?
I used to, and it's not the fucking end of the world.
Right.
Some sports are a little more political. I think boxing, it's a shame. One of these guys lose once, twice, and they're just fucking gone.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Literally.
It's crazy. You can lose a world title in MMA and come back, have a rematch, win it back, and all is forgiven. You're the greatest ever again, No, man, fucking losses are going to happen. People are going to have better days than you. You're going to make a mistake,
Yeah.
My last fight, man, I feel amazing. I'm doing great, man. I'm moving good. I'm slipping. I'm popping shots in where they need to be shot. I'm not getting hit. Come the end of the fight, man, I made one little mistake. I moved too far over, or I try to rush in just a tiny bit, and there here you go.
There.
Now what are you gonna do with it? If you slip, I get another day. If I don't, you get a win. So I mean, it's losses, man.
Inches, a game of inches.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't want them, even getting them, even being able to say, hey, man, I've learned so much from my losses.
Yeah.
I've received so much from my losses. I'm trying to kill it. Like I never go into it thinking,
Right.
like
And
I don't want that, you know.
But even those losses, because some people take losses different. Do you feel Steve lost the fight, or did you get beat by your opponent? You
Both.
made your.
I felt both of those before. At the end of the day, it's you. You lose to you. How hard you work, knowing what you put in. Like no one really knows the answer. No one could say. People can all say, "Oh, I'm proud of you, bro. You're killing it." You know what I'm saying? And that feels cool, right? But to be able to be proud of yourself, because
to really know.
And only you know what I'm saying? And it's a secret that most of us won't tell, not a single soul,
right.
if we did all we could do, because we don't want nobody to know that.
That's right. Yeah, right. We don't even want you to know what really
it
fucking took. What are the rules of bare knuckle fighting? Just to clear up for anybody that doesn't know. I noticed you guys start a little different. You guys are both kind of like really close. It's a circle ring. What's the difference? What's the rules of bare knuckle fighting?
It's pretty much the same as boxing, man. We don't start off in corners. We do start off on the line. We call it toe the line.
Yep.
I think it's maybe 2 inches away from the head of the knuckle, so we are completely exposed for boxing. No gloves. Like I said, it's the same as boxing. It's the floor. It's the boxing athletic.
Unlimited knockdowns.
Unlimited knockdown. So that is a couple things. So there are some things that are different. So you can get knocked down as many times as you get knocked down, as long as when you get up, you're able to continue. You're functioning. You're not a zombie. There is clinch work in this, to where as long as you're in a clinch and you're actually active, they're going to let that continue. That's body work, head work, whatever it is, as long as you're busy, which is not being optimized enough yet, but it's going to, and when it does, the game is going to change all over again.
Yeah.
What else? Our rounds, so we have 5 2-minute rounds. Personally, works amazing for me.
Yep.
Coming up in my career, I dealt with conditioning and stuff. I don't have those issues anymore, man. Everything's changed. We're next level in it, but it's perfect, 5 2-minute rounds. When you think about it on an entertainment standpoint, an athlete who is trained in the art of combat, okay, 2 minutes is that's a
Yeah.
sprint. We
Yeah.
can sprint through that round. You know, we can skillfully sprint through. We can chaotically sprint through it. But the amount of entertainment you're about to receive is next level.
Unmatched.
So yeah. So I mean, it was thought well of. Whoever actually made the rule and said, hey, these should be 2-minute rounds and we should
Yep.
do this is perfect. You know.
They knew what they were doing.
Yeah. I mean, most people don't even make it through the 5 rounds. You know, like I said, this is a sport where
Yeah.
blood and
Even jabs, you're getting cut up real quick.
absolutely.
I want to ask, what's it like, the respect between and amongst the fighters? Obviously, only you guys know what it takes to do that. Are you guys all respectful to each other, or is it kind of egos going on, especially BKFC?
I want to say it's respect over everything. You know, it is. It's hard to talk for anybody else, man.
Yeah.
For me, it's always that way, and I feel like it's that way in general. Egos, of course, man. Like this isn't. We're not playing hopscotch.
It's one of those sports
You're-
where you see it even in a
so
loss.
you're dealing with alphas, man. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
So I mean, but that's good though. That's the competition. Without that, man, this is a lame ass sport. You know what I mean?
Right.
A bunch of bobs coming in to fucking trade punches. That's nothing, you know.
And now you mentioned that you didn't even start till 35. Had you have started earlier, what kind of beast do you think 23-year-old Steve Tomahawk Townsel
Had
would
I
have been
started
like?
earlier in general in any combat sport, I'd already be a world champion. And that's
You were just missing discipline and the knowledge of it.
I didn't do it.
Yeah.
I just didn't. I wasn't there. It wasn't something I told you. It's not something I wanted to do. When I was younger, man, I didn't want to get punched in the face on purpose. You know what I mean? Like if it happened in some type of altercation, that's one thing. But yeah, I wasn't agreeing to that. That's not what I wanted. But if I'd had, you know, and if I would have started earlier, you know, which it's a fucking if, you know, everybody's got those, right?
Everybody's got them.
I believe 100% I'd be a world champion, if not multiple.
As a hooper, when I would score, I would get a boost of energy almost. So I'd miss, I'm still tired. But if I made that 3 in your face or had a big dunk, I got a boost. As a fighter, when you land punches, do you get a boost at all? Does it hurt to land? Both MMA and now BKFC. What's it like landing punches?
It is a boost of energy, you know. Sometimes it drains your energy. It's another double-sided sword, man.
You know, like I can imagine you hitting them. I don't know if you feel it in real time, but maybe when you get to that corner, now you feel it. Like, what's it like hitting? Because now you're literally going knuckles to fucking chin, knuckles to jaws.
So I could tell you on this one. All right, we'll talk about the most recent. It was the first exchange of my fight. This happened. It was my second 2, slightly overhand 2, and I connected and I hit him in the top of his right hand side of his forehead, and I felt like I punched him with my hand open. I know I didn't. I know my hand was completely closed. It was fucking smooth. I mean, I've watched this fucking punch a million times. I just caught it at an angle, and it is what it is. But I felt it at that given moment, and oof.
Feel like you ripped your hand or something, your fingers? What did it feel like?
Felt like I had a handful of loose rocks. Like you ever like gravel, so it's like crunchily. Shook it off immediately and just kept, you know, I'm in the middle of a fight, so there's no time to think about it then. Right. Watched that entire round, still threw it with no regard, still was working. I know when I came over to the corner, I was like, fuck, man, I broke my hand, you know? Even told my coach, he's like, man, I broke my hand, coach. He's like, it's okay. I said, all right, let's go, you know? Got back up, started the second round. Definitely, man, I stayed away from it a little bit more. You know, pop that jab. So it's there. I mean, I'm still going to throw it. And I did throw it in the end. I threw it in my last 2 exchanges. Threw it like there was nothing wrong. So.
But that just always shocked me. Like, you're literally punching through someone's face. Do you feel it open? Do you, oh, that hurt? You know what I mean? Because you could tell some BKFC guys don't really want to throw it. You can tell you're hurting yourself as you're giving punishment.
Well, your body tells you that. You don't tell you shit. Like, you know, you're in the midst of it. Like, you're ready. You'll throw everything at him. You'll eat his whole face off. But your body's telling you, all right, that's fucking retarded. You know what I'm saying? We ain't doing that, you know? Same thing with your hands. But, I mean, I've boxing, kickboxing, MMA, bare knuckle, you definitely feel this like it takes a different kind of person to continue to do this, man.
All respect. I want to ask, how much, if any, can you hear your corner when you're in that fight? Because to us, it's so loud. As a basketball player, I can maybe hear my coach a little bit throughout the thousands of people. As a fighter in there getting punched in the face, if you can you hear your corner during the fight, and what's it like when you're sitting in that corner?
I can hear my corner probably 90% of the time.
Really?
You gotta think, man. Like, these guys are in your corner. Like, I've lived with them. I've trained with them.
You know.
They're my coaches. So I've heard their voice every single day for at least the past 16 weeks, if not forever. You know.
Right.
So I mean, I'm used to hearing what they got to say. So I've been blessed with that. I know a lot of guys that have problems. So it's completely opposite, though. I hear them during my fight most of the time. If I'm in a fray or like I'm running or something,
Yep.
maybe I don't hear them. But the time that I have a problem actually hearing them or realizing that I hear them is in between rounds.
When you're sitting there?
Listen, I don't remember none of those conversations ever.
And is it fast? Is it slow motion? Like,
It's gone. Like, I hear my coach talking to me, you know what I'm saying? And I know that I'm listening because I'm taking it in as I'm saying, but I can't remember none of that shit. I have to watch it back, through the fight, the
right.
man. So I hear a lot during the fights. I can't remember any of it after the middle of the rounds. Like, obviously I listen to them.
Yeah, correct.
But I don't remember shit what they say. I'm so, like, I'm tunnel. Like, I'm still in the fight. Even though I'm sitting over here, like, I'm still inside the fight, So, yeah.
Now, obviously you a bad motherfucker for a lot of people, okay? You might have scared a lot of people in that ring, but have you ever had a fight where you had to tell yourself, okay, I am that guy. I have to reassure myself because he ain't going nowhere. He looks maybe a little scary or whatever. Like, you had to prep yourself a little bit more. Has that ever happened to you? Where you met someone that was your match, let's say? Not even so much physical combat, but just looks.
No, man. So, yes, of course I've met my match, but I've never thought that I met my match.
Right.
Like, that just wasn't it. It wasn't part of the play. I've never thought, oh, man, this guy's going to beat me. He could whoop me. Not ever once, man. Every single fight I've ever fought, man, I was 1,000% confident. I believe in myself probably more than anybody else, which has led me to be as far as I am.
That's right.
And you're losing. It hasn't happened to me yet, but when it does, I think I need to question what I'm doing.
Right.
I think because that's a sign.
Moment.
That's a sign for me to be like, what are you doing, man? Like,
yeah.
what are you doing?
That's true.
So
that's true. What Dana says, if you're thinking about it, you got to go.
Yeah, if you're thinking about it, you've already lost. In your brain, you've already thought about how many times you've lost instead of how many times you've won.
Yeah.
And fuck that.
What are the difference? Because obviously now you're training guys, you know what I mean? You're a coach to guys. You're a cornerman to a lot of guys. What's it like for you to going into your fight and cornering someone else's fight that's under you? What are the differences there?
So when it's me, it's all about me. I'm a selfish fucking person. I think we all kind of got to be selfish in order to get
you got to be
further or whatever. So when it's me, it's me. But when it's them, man, I'm invested so much in like a different kind of way. Like I want to take care of them. I want to make sure that they're doing the right things. As for myself, I'm just more reckless. It's like So for them, I don't want them to make any of the mistakes that I made because they shouldn't have to. Because someone like me is here.
You're here. Yeah.
Someone like me is here, man, and I've made so many mistakes, and there's going to be so many people that are going to benefit off that if they just,
listen.
That's it.
And learn.
And I've been blessed with a lot of really good coaches throughout my entire life. I don't mean just at fighting now, because I have some of the world's best coaches now, but these guys that I've come up with, Pee Wee football, baseball.
Life lessons,
all these things, man, all these coaches, man, like that's who's raising kids. I mean, you think about it, I mean, that's my coaches, like that's it, man, and they teach us those lessons, and I'm super blessed to have had all the ones that I've had. So now, like, when I first started coaching, I'm a year into coaching now. I didn't want to give up my time, really, to be honest. It wasn't that I didn't want to coach or I didn't feel like I had something to offer. I was like, man, it's mine.
I need my time.
But now that I do coach, man,
The reward.
Man, it's a whole nother. It's fulfilling. It's probably one of the most fulfilling things that you can get. That and your own kids. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
Because it's almost the same, but it's a little different. You know.
And do you feel that you have improved your own fighting skills now that you coach? Do you see it through a different lens? Are you able to learn?
Absolutely, man. And I say that all the time. People, once you start coaching, you're going to become a better whatever it is you do, what sport it is, whatnot. So I break down fundamentals so many times that it's on repeat. So every time that I feel myself or see something going a little wrong or doing different, I know I can correct myself. Yeah, I agree. It does make me a better fighter.
Shout out. Who are your coaches right now? Who is in your corner? Like you said, you're telling people what not to do. Don't make my mistakes. Who's telling you what mistakes not to make? Who's in your corner right now?
I'm gonna Danny Babcock. So this is my first. He's my coach. Like I've been to other gyms. I've worked in our gym, but he was my very first coach that took me up under his wing, helped me out, man. Never charged me a cent, never asked me for anything, just to show up and keep coming. So he's the A1, day one, along with Dan Donaldson, man. I gotta give Dan some more credit here, Dan was there from the jump as well. Who else? I want to give him a coach. I want to go back real quick. So I'm going to go to my high school coach.
Absolutely.
HB.
Come on.
Mr. Williams, Fort Pierce Central. He was the
original Fort Pierce Central.
Yes, man. This man was my coach along with so many other people. Like, I was an asshole, man. And like, he would tell me, like, stop being an asshole, it's just going to come back and bite you. Don't be an asshole. And we laughed about it, man. And he just really told it to me in a way that made so much fucking sense. You know what I mean? But that was just a time in my life I needed to hear the things that most people weren't telling you. You know what I mean?
Shit you don't want to hear.
Yeah. So shout out HB. Right now, Byron Zamora, we're going to go back to Byron Zamora, man, my boxing coach. Man, he changed everything for me. Like I said, I wasn't a boxer. I was a brawler. I wasn't even a full-fledged MMA fighter, I was a fighter. I was a brawler. That's what I was. Point blank, I had the mentality that I would take one to give one. I'll take two to give one.
That's right.
So it was okay for what it was, but now, fuck that. That's not the idea. And Byron helped me see that. So Byron helped me realize that, man, I actually got some footwork.
That's right.
Man, I got some movement. I'm a better boxer than I give myself credit for, and I got those fundamentals and shit through B. Since him, I've also branched out, and I've worked down in Miami with Young Tigers, which is El Tigre, which is a 5-time kickboxing world champion, a Hall of Famer, and has coached 12 world champions through the Young Tigers Foundation. An amazing coach, took things to another level for me, fixed me. So when he started coaching me, when I first went down there, I did nothing with the class. I did nothing with the group. I did not spar. I worked with him for 2 weeks solid, just to see my movement, to change some things. A fucking professor, man. Took
Literally.
some things out, moved some things around, and added a little seasoning. I was on fire. So I would split my camps and do most here because I'm from down here, and then I would finish up and go down there probably the last 8 weeks or so,
I've watched a lot of your weigh-ins, a lot of the stuff. We see you flex, and I've noticed one of your biceps looks a little different than the other one. Is there a story behind that?
Goes back to last year football. I was late to a scrimmage. It was January. I get in, I don't even really warm up, and I first play I'm in, I think, man. My very first play, I reached out and arm tackled a guy, and the entire elbow hyperextended, so it popped the bicep off. And left there, man, went to the hospital. They didn't do, like they weren't going to do emergency surgery right then. This is something they want to set up, whatnot. Yeah. So I went through this stage of trying to get it done with bad insurance. Mm-hmm. By the time I actually got it to where they were going to be able to fix it, which was almost 2.5 months later, it goes to a 50% chance of even actually completely reconnecting it.
Damn.
So, but when it happened, like it was a 50% chance. I said, you know what, man, it's aesthetic. I had no idea that I was going to fight at that
point.
Like, so at that point, like I had no thought process to it. It's cool. And my bicep isn't going to look as cool. It's whatever. I didn't care, you know. I still was able to move. I did everything regularly. I missed one football game, by the way.
Wow.
And played the rest with that bicep fresh like that.
That's intense.
But yeah, it's part of me, you know. I kind of like it.
I just always had to ask.
It's becoming a question that I get asked, and it's like, yeah, you know. I do it with that.
Yeah, it is what it is. I've noticed it. Do you still watch football? Are you a football fan to this day?
I don't. So I don't. I 100% will always have a love for football. It was definitely my very first passion ever.
Yep.
But now I give fighting 100% of my attention.
You have to. Some people watch football. Some people play football. You was
yeah.
One of the guys
So
that
you know, I mean, I played it then, so it's still so relevant, right. And I loved it. Like I said, it was since I was a little kid. That's all I ever wanted to be was a football player. Turns out I'm someone else, you know.
That's right. And now, what about film, Steve? Do you watch your own fights? Do you watch old fights? Not only just your last fight. Do you study yourself?
I watch fights constantly, man. Constantly. I watch. I still watch some MMA fights, but right now it's boxing. It's bare knuckle. I definitely watch my own fights. I watch my opponent's fights. I watch everything I can, man. It's free education. It's a free way to see what you got. And if you don't, you're wasting it. Like, it's there. Like,
after a loss and or after a win, how long do you celebrate and how long do you hone in on that loss before you're on to the next one, before it's gone? How long do you let it sit with you?
I want to say immediately, but that's not quite true, right? Win or loss, the goal is to start back almost immediately. You know, I think usually most people, it's a week, 2 weeks they'll take to enjoy some life, catch up with some people that you missed out on. Like I said, camp is man, it's selfish. It's a fucking time of, you know, grind. So I mean, to get that little bit of time to do that, super cool. I think coming off a loss, you have to be aware of the time that you're missing, because idle less time of you actually being or working towards something like that. It's just more you're going to think about it. But for me, I mean, a win or a loss coming off of either or, I'm already, man, I could have did this, or you know what I mean? It's already like, man, you know what? We're all in our moments after the fights and stuff. The injuries are the worst, I want to say. How about that? So that's a different one.
Absolutely.
Let's go to that one.
Yeah.
So injury causes you only to be able to work certain aspects, you know. And you do that because that's what it is, you know. You got to keep something for progress. I told you, idle hands. If you're not doing something, you're overthinking something.
Steve Tomahawk Townsel, man. Obviously, you've told us a lot what you do. We see you doing it all the time. But who is it that you do it for?
So I'm gonna go out and say it on this, man. I do it for me.
Hey, listen, not enough people say it, man.
I do it for me. I do everything for my children, 100%. It's important that I do this for me, for them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Call it what you want. That's how I want to say it. I'm not going to say I do it for this or do it for that. So I do it for me. I do it because I deserve this. I deserve to be able to chase what I want to chase. And I think everybody should. Like, it doesn't matter what you've been through, your age, your gender, whatever, you know.
And I think a lot of people's issue is right there, the children. Even though you have children, you said it perfect. You know, I'm doing what I want to do for them. Obviously, it's for them, but I'm going to do what I want to do. A lot of people will get caught up in I have kids, I got to do it for them, and they're not doing what they want to do. Then they're miserable, and then it wears off on the kids. I think that's really important. That you're doing what you want to do on top of providing for them.
Listen, how many parents tell their kids that they can be anything they want to be?
Yep.
But don't do anything they really want to do.
Lead by example.
And I'm not judging anybody's parenting. For me, man, I know it is, whew,
Yeah.
you know, it's a ride. But I'm leading by the best example possible. Like, you can't get no better example. And they love it, you know. They're proud of Dad. So, I mean, yeah, man.
Girl dad at that
I'm
as
a
well.
girl dad. I have beautiful daughters.
Are they allowed to watch Daddy on fight night? Are they shielded from that?
They are now. I've had one of them, actually. My oldest, she cornered my last MMA fight.
Wow.
So that was a big deal for me. And then my youngest two, they always watch the fights, but they don't normally watch them when they have, unless they sneak away.
Right. And having your daughter in your corner, obviously, you know, she might not be out here giving you structure what you need to do with your footwork, you know what I mean? Left hand uppercut, Dad, but what's that like?
It was cool to share the experience with her. Like, there's another goal. Like, I just shared a life experience with my child.
Right.
There's going to be a time when she's going to be able to do that for me. You know, it's going to be something different, and she's going to do it, you know, and I look forward to it. So they're part of my journey.
And I've got no kids yet, but I always ask this on my show to anybody that is a parent. Did life slow down for you, or did it speed up when you had children?
It speeds up, and it gives you no choice but to go that speed. Otherwise, you're falling further behind, and you still speeding. So,
as a professional fighter, what's it like for you to hear the Jeff and George at the goddamn bar that just likes to be loud and talk like they like to fight? Oh yeah, everything is rah, 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 I want to fight. Yeah, I'm ready to fight. What's it like for you, as someone that does it every day, to hear these people that may have never fought
I know
talk about it?
I guess it should bother me, but it don't.
Nah, never.
It don't. No, I mean, let them have their moment. That's their moment. I mean, I'm not gonna argue with nobody about nothing like
Never.
that. So I'm not at all. I won't even call you out on your own shit. I'm gonna let you be.
You're gonna hang out in the
I'm
back
gonna
and
let
talk.
you be the baddest motherfucker in the world right now, man. And I hope that it just did everything for you.
Yeah. Just keep it over there. Don't bump. Don't touch.
Yeah, man. Those are people that are gonna be there. I mean, I'm not.
Now that you are a professional, now that you've been doing this legit, have you ever had any altercations in the real world where you had to use your skills, or maybe had to let them know you don't want me to use your skills?
Not really. I don't. So I mean, so before I fought, like I worked at clubs and stuff like that. So I've been around bouncing and a few other different things. So I mean, physical altercations was kind of in the play all the time. But I'm gonna talk you out of it before something happens, man.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? I'm not that dude. You would have caught me maybe in my teenage years. I was a little more of a knucklehead, but.
Now, if you could go back 5 years ago and tell Steve where you're at, what you're doing right now, would he have believed it?
Fuck no. So I was having fun, man. So when I fought MMA, man, I was living my life. I was having fun. I still worked a full-time job. I raised my kids. Training as much as I could, but I was really just having fun. It was like the beginning of my journey, my story. You know?
I'd like to say that. I mean, 5 years ago, some people say, yeah, this is the whole plan.
I didn't think I was gonna be bare knuckle boxing. Like I said, I was having fun. I just wasn't taking it as serious. Like I said, I was just having fun. So no, I say that all the time, and I tell them, man, 5 years ago, I had no idea that I was gonna be ranked in the world,
Right, legit.
6 fights deep into something that's going to be one of the biggest sports in the world.
Yeah.
We are on our way to be that. BKFC is doing something.
Absolutely.
What it sounds
Big
like
news.
is the door just completely opened up, and man, the BKFC is going to hit the ground with our feet already in play. We've been moving, we've been working. So I'm excited to see what that's going to do for us.
And now that you're here in BKFC and you're regarded as one of the highlight guys, you literally are, man. Not even just here at the local scene. Is this something you want to stay in? Can you see yourself going back to MMA, maybe to boxing, or are you bare knuckle for life?
Yeah, I'm bare knuckling it, man.
Yeah.
I don't have a real ambition to do any MMA anymore. I want to work with my guys, help them chase their dreams as far as that goes. So, I mean, I'm going to be active. I'll be getting in training and stuff, but it's not something that I want to seek professionally. Bare knuckle 100%, man. Like, I could see myself doing this for the next, I don't know, man, 8, 10 years. I feel great. I feel amazing. So, until I don't feel that way, man, I'm coming. And,
that's
you
right.
know, when you see me coming to that ring, man, you know I'm coming.
Yeah. Every time. And I just want to ask a few more questions, man. I appreciate you stopping by the podcast, man. These are a few wide-open questions I like to ask. Got to put the shades on, of course, Steve. Ray-Bans, hook me up. If you were stuck on an island for a month and can only listen to 3 artists, who would they be?
Man, that's a fucking...
Get their whole catalog, but only 3.
Man. And I'm on an island?
Coconuts, iguanas, and that goddamn
By
beach.
myself?
Dolo.
Oh, man, that's horrible. I get all this
You know?
by myself. I don't think I've ever been so blank-minded in my entire fucking life.
Oh, good,
if I'm on an island, I want some reggae music for
Right.
sure.
Right. These dudes be straight gangster music, all 3. I'm like, you're on an island.
I'm on an island, man. There's fucking... I need some good sounding music, something with a beachy, nice flow. Yeah, man. 3 albums, huh?
3 artists.
Artist.
Play out the speakers on
DMX.
your island. Perfect.
I think I relate mostly. That's my dude. Music, Soul Child.
Wow.
I fucks with it, you know.
Yeah.
The reggae with Marley. We'll just go with Marley as Universal. You know what I'm saying? He's got the biggest collection. It'd be perfect. The fucking island is nice. Good vibes. DMX. I think I can. Oh, that is 3.
That's 3 right there. If you had a ball,
I'm
you're good to go now. Steve, I want to ask you, have you ever Googled yourself?
Motherfucking right.
Bitch! When you on there, you got to look.
Listen. I'm very aware of my situation. I'm trying to live in that moment too. It's mine. So, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna look myself up. I'm gonna see what's going on out there. And I'm a brand, man. You know. So yeah, I want to see what's being seen. That's all. I'm still gonna be me.
Yeah. And now speaking of Tomahawk, I've seen you throw fucking 2 legit axes with one hand, double bullseye. What was that about?
Hard Axe Lounge, man. Shout out.
Fort
Downtown
Pierce,
Fort
baby.
Pierce.
Let's go.
Man, them guys have just... I've been going there since they pretty much opened up. No, man, I'm not a professional axe thrower. To be completely honest, I think that might have been my second throw. It happened when it happened, and we had it on camera, so it was super dope. Super cool place. You guys should come check it out sometimes. But yeah, I'm a natural, man.
Yeah. Now I want to ask you, a lot of people, especially, from generations ago, I'm a 94 baby, so I'm a 90s baby coming up. For you growing up without social media, without the internet boom that we have today, would 20-year-old Steve have been better off without the social media and the cameras on?
Call me old without calling me old, dog.
I'm not calling you old, but you know what I'm saying? I got to keep it real, dog. I got to keep it real.
Yes, man, yes.
Because I grew up without it.
Listen,
I'd have been much worse.
There was no social media. Yeah, that wasn't even a thing. I don't know. It's fucking different.
We really
man.
lived life.
Yeah, like I used to tell my kids, man, like I could tell you that the sky is brown and you wouldn't know because you're looking down at your phone so much. Look up, man. Pay attention.
Right.
But social media is taking control of a lot of things, a lot of business. It's a real thing. It's part of life now, to be completely honest.
Right. Almost makes everybody a brand.
100%. And as you should be. As the fuck you should be, man. You should always represent yourself to the fullest. It's supposed to be you, and you should always rep you like that, man. You are a fucking brand. Why shouldn't you be, right?
That's right. That's right. Keeps you reputable. if you look at yourself as a brand, you kind of you can balance yourself out a little bit more. You hold yourself to a high standard, whether you're just thinking I'm just.
You should be doing that shit anyways. You know what I'm saying? So the people that follow through on that are their own brand. They just, whether they're marketing like that or not, it's just, which is fucking. That's how everyone should be.
If you could tell your younger self one thing that you know now, what would it be? And it's a double-sided sword, because you could either tell him something to avoid, don't do this, or you could reassure him of something that maybe you were doubting back then. This will happen, or don't do this. You can only choose one. Which one would you give?
I just want to. I'd tell me to trust the process. Trust the process, because I didn't more than a few times in my life, and it would set me back even further than what I was.
Right.
So it's simple, man. I've lived a fucking pretty dope life, man. So yeah, trust the process. Slow yourself down sometimes, man.
Right.
We tend to hit everything full speed, like we're trying to kill it, right? Sometimes it doesn't require that, and it'll set you back.
It'll set you back. And I want to ask, as someone that's grown up, Fort Pierce, we right here, same place. I want to ask, what's your circle like? Maybe not your immediate family, but your boys, whoever. Do you have a tight circle? What's that been like growing up? Has it gotten smaller, tighter? What's your circle like?
I love everybody. Like if we speak, if I talk to you, if I see you, if we pass social media, I mean, I love the fuck out of all y'all. But if I don't train with you, or we're not working out in the same gym, I just don't see you.
Yeah.
That's my circle. So the people that are doing the exact same things as me are the people that's my circle.
Right.
And I give that advice to everybody. Whatever it is that you're doing, find like-minded people that want to do the same things that you want to do, and fucking do it.
Right.
Are
you always the best guy when you're training, or do you like to train people that are better than you?
Hell no. Why would I want to be that? Why would I? No one should want to be that. You should thrive to be that, but look, I want to be pushed when I spar, when I'm training, when I'm learning something new. I mean, I am a forever student, man. There's never going to be a time where I want to be like, yep, I got it figured out. Nah, man.
No way.
No way. And I don't think I fucking want to be that. What kind of fun would that be?
What's the point?
There's no fun. There's no fun in that, man. And there's no glory to it. There's nothing that makes it worth doing. So, yeah.
What's the point of being there unless you're getting better? And as a basketball player, I always felt like the best teams I was on is when our practices were our hardest competitors. The B team, the second team, who we're practicing against, those losses were the worst ones. That's when we'd be the best team. Can you talk about losses in practice? Is it important, and what are the L's like when you take?
That's where they're supposed to happen.
Yeah.
So, like I was telling you earlier off camera, when it comes to fight time, and I love the lights and everybody watching. It's a huge part of it. You know what I mean? But when I'm training, like when I'm in the midst of it all, like when we're getting it in, man, I don't want nobody to watch it. Because let me tell you something, man. If you knew how many times I gotta lose in order to win, you'd be shocked. But it's just like. That's where I'm figuring it out. That's where I'm learning it. That's where I've made those mistakes probably 15, 20 times. And until the next one, I didn't get it. So, yeah, my battle is way more inside my training sessions,
And do you learn more from sparring with somebody more than you would learn from someone just coaching you, telling you what to do? Like, do you learn more when you're physically going at it with someone from him? Or is it the coach that teaches you the most?
No. So if you're if you're sparring with anybody, man, you've already learned it. It's already there. Now you're doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
When you're working with a coach, I prefer which I do more of now than I do sparring. So I don't spar nowhere near as much as I once did. I mean, I still spar. I still get it in because it's necessary. But when I work with my coach one-on-one, which is most of my sessions with him, it's us. and I'm going over pad work, footwork, or we're doing bag work or something. I mean, it's precise. It's fixing me 100%.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm learning. That's where I'm being taught what I need to be to do. You know what I mean? Once that's taught, you know what I'm saying? Now you're doing it repetition-wise. You're doing it so many times over and over. You're drilling. You know, it's there.
Natural now.
Yeah, when you're sparring, man, you're just implementing everything you've already learned or checking on your conditioning, you know?
And what are your thoughts on someone like a Max Holloway, who's obviously a seasoned vet, a legend, who gave up and walked away from sparring, saves it for the fights? What are your thoughts on that?
I agree 100%. I'm not there, but I'm close to being in that same, like I'm there.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
And I'm okay with it. I do so much situational sparring, you know what I mean, that I'm good. Like I get it. I don't have to get my head beat in to make sure that I'm not getting my head beat in.
Right, right. Have you been starstruck yet in this profession of fighting?
Yeah, but not by like a fighter. Not that I you know, some of them are absolute legends, man, and I see them as such. You know, I'm fucking honored to be amongst these dudes. You know what I mean? But no, maybe more of I think the first time I seen Shaq. you know what I'm saying?
Come on now.
Like, yo, it's fucking
That's
Shaq,
fucking
bro.
Shaquille O'Neal.
But yeah, like not as much. I'm in the circle, you know.
Right. Yeah, you're one of them. People look up to you. You know, you get fan bombarded and stuff. You know what I mean? So what's it like for you? Have you had little kids look up to you like you're this special superhero? Tomahawk.
It's
hey,
dope, man.
What's it like?
I told you, I'm selfish. So that when I get something from it, man, I enjoy it. And once again, it's cool because I'm being somewhat of a model. You know, if someone wants to say, hey, you know, this is what it is. So that's how I want to live it. I want to lead by the example, especially for the younger kids. That's cool, man.
Right.
I've been through a lot of things. I told you, if they can just listen to some of my things, they wouldn't go through. So yeah, I like it, man. I enjoy. I like all the glory, all the lights, all of it to it. I love the competition. I love the self push that it gives me. It's my favorite time in life.
Yeah.
like
Period.
So I lose it all right there. It's amazing to be that vulnerable.
Right.
Literally. You know, it's the most vulnerable thing that I think I've ever done. And I learned that the hard way. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, like my very first fight with the BKFC was against my now brother, Gustavo Trujillo. And it was at that time the largest BKFC show ever watched, attended, and I think we were up somewhere. I mean, it was like 17 million at one point, just on like YouTube, the regular views.
Correct.
Sold out show. I got knocked out, man.
Wow.
This is the first time in my life. You know, I've been hit with pipes, bad. You know.
Right.
But that's where I got tested. Remember I told you earlier.
That moment.
It was that moment where I could have got up, went in the back, been like, yeah, this ain't for me. This isn't what I want to do.
Yep.
This ain't it. And nobody would have said anything. It would have been like, we get it.
Correct. You were there,
bro.
Yeah,
like, I get it, man. But no, like, the complete opposite. Like, it's never for a second have I ever like questioned that this is what I want to do.
And after that loss, after you were knocked out, were you eager to get back and take another shot to see, you know what I mean, to get it off? Like a lot of guys when they get injured, they're scared to really go off that knee.
I was in Miami like a month later.
Wow.
So I was from that particular time, almost immediately. I don't think I stayed out long at all. Basic training and working, and then I was already living in Miami.
Ready.
Like a month later. Quit my job, said fuck it, I'm chasing it, this is what I'm doing. Went to Miami, I lived down there for 10 weeks. Man, I fucking crushed some dreams.
That's right.
And I'm still doing it.
You bet on yourself.
I'm always going to, you know, it's easy for people to say that. But yeah, I bet on myself, man, you know. I told you, sometimes you got to be a little selfish. You know.
You have to.
Yeah, it just or lose yourself in the process.
Yeah. I mean, even when you try to help people, you're never going to help anybody unless they want to help themselves. You got to want to do it first and foremost of anything in life. Now, you've obviously spoke about, you learn most from your losses compared to your wins. After every loss, you just want to jump right back in. You want to correct the mistakes that you had.
Immediately. I want to do that immediately. We talked about this earlier. So every loss, it goes right to it. I mean, I initially want to do that win or lose, but every loss, that's how you get past the loss. You got to get to the next one.
Right.
You're only as good as your last fight. So your last fight, you just lost. So what are you chasing now? The fucking next one. Let's go. Let's get it. And it's a new push. They're great. They've made me. I've never lost anything and not came back and destroyed,
Correct.
So, I mean, sometimes it takes that, and it appears to be my learning curve. That's how it works for me.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with it. Like, I'm not going to rush my process. It is my process, and I'm fucking living it. So
now, a lot of people, whether it's Bellator, BKFC, UFC, really anything these days, they talk about the business. We're fighting. Some guys play basketball, football. There's the business side. Mm-hmm. Do you like the business side? Do you accept it? It's obviously reality, but what's your opinion on the business side of the fight game that you are involved in?
It's masterfully done, man. I think that these guys are handling it fucking amazing. I'm gonna speak for who I work for. You know what I'm saying? Even if I didn't work for them, they're fucking look what we're doing.
And how quickly it's happened. How quickly it's happened.
The proof is in the fucking,
How quickly it's happened is remarkable.
And the pudding, man, and it's there.
Now, what are your thoughts on women fighting? Are you a fan of women getting in there regardless? BKFC, boxing, MMA?
I'm a fan of anybody that wants to compete, period. I love women fights. I think it's silly. I know I'm saying it's women fights, but it's just their fights. You know what I'm saying? I train with these women too, man. They're fucking some absolute soldiers.
Savages.
And their fights are usually more exciting, to me, and it's not, they go. They are at each other, from start to finish. And I got a lot of respect for them. So I know how I feel at the end of a session. And they do the same things I do. So
they just look a little prettier when they're done. A lot of people think they can fight because they might have a dog in them. Obviously, you got the dog in you, but now you're skilled. Now you have experience. On fight day, what percentage of you is fighting? Is it all your skill, your experience? How much of it is just your dog, that mentality? Like fight day, how much is it percentage-wise? Does the dog not even fucking matter anymore that you're really doing it? How much of that goes into play?
In bare knuckle, it absolutely matters. I won't take that away at all. There still is. There's a ratio. You know what I mean? Like there just has to be. But it's without that dog, you're not going to make it in the sport because it's going to test you. You know what I mean? Skill levels is going to take control over that. But when you're beating a guy up and he's just coming at you, and you're beating him up and he's just coming at you. That's that's a whole nother monster, man.
Right.
So.
And you guys got a lot of big names coming in. Obviously, we see the Chad Mendez, you know what I mean? Platinum Mike Perry shout out, Luke Rockhold, MVP. A lot of those guys, we know they're really good strikers, but it's the Mike Perry that you're seeing the dog, and it's like, okay, we see why he's lasting.
I think that it's not just that. I know he's still training some MMA stuff, but he's just training with his boys. He's not training to actually do it, you know? He's been able to isolate his training. So he's working on his boxing.
And it's elevated.
So, yeah, he is a fucking dog. Hell yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. Right. But he's taken the time to be able to actually work on a specific thing, and it's paying off for him. Yeah. So shout out to that motherfucker, man.
Shout out to him, man. And like I said, you guys have took great leaps. I think I remember watching the first BKFC, and now it's legit pay-per-views. You guys are booming. It's on TV. I'm like, man, this is nice.
Man, and some of these guys are next level in it for the BKFC too, man. They're doing amazing things. So.
Right. And now, do you get to go to all the events too, even if you're not fighting? Can you go attend and watch?
I can, yeah. I can pretty much go to any of them. You know.
Wow.
They take care of us very well, man, and they having us in the shows make the shows a little cooler. The
Right,
fighters
absolutely.
all the fans get to come out and they get to talk to you and stuff. So it's a sales pitch for, it's a little bonus they get. But it's cool for us to be there, man. This is our sport.
That's right.
And
Your
they let
sport.
us do that. They let us be a part of our sport, which is
Come on now.
think about
That's
that,
massive.
man. Yeah, man. So
After a fight, loss or win, what day is the sorest for you? If you fought on Saturday, what day is your body hurting the worst after fight night? For football players, they play on Sunday. Most of them say Tuesday, Monday. For a fighter, if fight night's Saturday, what day is the worst?
Usually, man, it's just the first day or two. If sometimes I'm okay the next day. Yeah. I don't know, man. Trying to think what my face has been good, to be honest with you. I've had some bad knots and hits behind the ear. So, man, maybe a day, 2 days.
Day?
Yeah, so once again, man, you're dealing with your face mostly, dealing with your head mostly, maybe some body shots. I think a body shot would last a little bit longer.
Damn.
That shit heals pretty quick, man.
I've always thought about that because obviously fight day, you have adrenaline boosted up. And what is that like? Because or game day, I'm dunking higher than I ever could. I'm putting it between my legs when I couldn't have. Fight day
Everything.
for you,
It's everything, yeah.
you just got a little bit more power and you have to hold that back maybe.
No, I'm peaked. I just did all this work for this particular moment.
We here.
I'm peaked. Yeah, I'm here. Just like I told you, when I wake up in the morning, it's like everything is nice and easy. I'm nice and calm. I'm like, cool. I'm gonna eat some food.
Yep.
Relax. Because I know the closer I get, man, just the more I'm right there. I'm right in sync. I'm right where I'm supposed to be at the minute, the second that I am.
Yep.
And then boom.
It's game time. Lights are on. That's a feeling not many people will ever experience, and all those that have, man, much respect, much love to you guys from all the normal people like me. Steve, last one I got for you. This is back to parenting. I think it's big. We talk about this stuff on my show. Try to make it a little professional, right? We learning here, people. For you, is it important to not let your kids go through what you had to go through as a child, or is it important to give them everything that they want? Or is it important to let them feel?
I think if you let your kids go through what you went through as a child, you're failing as a parent. Which it happens. I'm not saying that. It's fucking hard. Being a parent's fucking rough. But
Imagine.
to let your kids go through the same thing you went through, yeah, man, you're fucking failing, dude. Get it right, man. You just went through all that stuff. So you've got this sob story you've probably told I don't know how many people in your life. Man.
It's their world now. And,
Yeah,
and it's important for you to give them everything that they want, or not so much a fan of that route?
I give them everything I can, period. Everything I can. There's no, everyone has wants. That's what fucking drives us to do most of the things we do. So, yeah, no, I'm okay with them not having some of their wants fulfilled. That's going to be life the entire time you live it, right?
Right.
But those same wants are going to want to get you up off your ass to go do something or, otherwise. So, yeah, no, they're good with one. I wanted.
And now, Steve, when it comes to fight days and fight camps for you, obviously you gather sponsors to sponsor you and your camp. How does that work? Do they need to find you? Do you reach out to them? What if somebody watching wants to sponsor and represent Steve Tomahawk Townsel's next fight?
First, follow me. Instagram, Steve Tomahawk Townsel, Facebook, Steve Tomahawk Townsel, all the regular platforms. Check me out. I ain't for everybody. I am not for everybody, and that's okay. So see who I am, and I'm very authentic. I'm very who I look like I am. So if we fit, then we can usually work something out. And 9 times out of 10, it's the local. Man, once again, when you hear me get all boosted up about Fort Pierce or the Treasure Coast or this particular area, it's because they support me. My sponsors are locally owned businesses that reach out to me because I'm a locally owned business myself, and I love that. We should all be doing that. So if you're interested, follow me and see if I'm for you. Everything that I do, all the stuff that I talk, man, that's 100% me. And I am always fighting. There's not going to be a time where I'm not going to be in the middle of something, which is a huge venue, a place to really promote your brand, promote your company.
That's right.
So check me out. Hit my DMs. At least follow me. I'll follow you back. I'm not one of those prudes, straight up. Like, if I know you, I'm following you back.
Yep. And you'll see him around the town. He's really
man,
out here
from,
local.
Yeah, man, I'm from here. So don't be afraid. I don't bite unless you want me to.
Hey, that's right. Unless it's getting paid for it, then they'll definitely bite. Well, I appreciate you, dog. This is Steve Tomahawk Townsel, man. I appreciate you joining the show.
Sir.
Any last words before I let you get out of here? What can we look forward to you 2023? We got a cast on. Obviously, we got to wait a little bit of time. What can we look forward to you, sir?
Even when I'm not working, I'm already working. So look for me soon to be back in that square circle. I'm going to aim for probably October. I can't wait to get back in there. I've never not stopped working. So look for that. But look for a few other things from me, man. Just like I said, if you haven't followed me yet, follow me now. And I got a few things going on I'd love to fill everybody in on, but got to tune in.
Stay tuned, baby. This is the man, the local legend himself, Steve Tomahawk Townsel. Appreciate you, dog.
Thank you, doggy.